This morning report is coming up next, and then in 10 minutes at 9 o'clock, it's the BBC NewsHour on WNYC. Let's check in with London to see what they're working on. London, good morning.
Good morning, WNYC. I'm Razia Iqbal. On today's NewsHour, the NATO summit begins in Lithuania, where how and when Ukraine will join the alliance will dominate. The obstacles for Sweden joining have been overcome. We speak to the Prime Minister, and we'll hear from a leading Indian TV journalist who has risked his life daily to tell the truth about his country. BBC NewsHour coming up at 9 on WNYC.
Sunshine and 75 right now in the city. Up near 90 today for a high, with more sunshine than tomorrow. Sunny and 92. Chances of morning and afternoon showers on Thursday, and then late afternoon shower. Thunderstorm chances then as well. Partly sunny and 90 on Thursday. Right now, 75 and sunny at 8:51.
WNYC supporters include New York Presbyterian, where data scientists and doctors from Columbia and Weill Cornell Medicine are working together to one day help patients get a better prediction of their future health. Stay amazing, New York Presbyterian.
For thrill seekers, few attractions offer as much fun as a roller coaster. But recently, riders in Wisconsin were stuck upside down for hours after a mechanical failure, and another spotted a huge crack in a supporting beam of a North Carolina coaster after his family had been on the ride.
I'm not an engineer, but that's not good.
America's Roller Coasters, next time on 1A.
Weekdays at 3 on WNYC, or live stream it at WNYC.org.
You go to live theater much over this last year?
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Indeed, a hiring solution that helps businesses attract, interview, and hire candidates in one place. More at Indeed.com/hire.
I'm David Brancaccio in New York. We're leading with a business of the arts story. Many regional venues for live theater are in financial crisis. Audiences are not back to pre-pandemic levels, and the government aid which helped theaters survive COVID shocks is drying up. Theaters are closing. Marketplace's Nova Safo reports.
Regional theaters are facing an uncertain future. Post-pandemic, they're finding audiences are less drawn to the types of works regional theaters specialize in. And that's left companies such as the highly regarded Steppenwolf in Chicago staring down a fiscal hole.
Steppenwolf, like many of our peers across the country, is known for bold, innovative, thought-provoking work.
Brooke Flanagan is executive director of the company.
And that work right now is not fitting in the Venn diagram of commercial viability.
Flanagan says post-COVID audiences are more interested in lighter fare and familiar works, historically a pattern similar to one seen after a period of war. For Steppenwolf, which is focused on new plays, that's meant the number of subscribers has shrunk 50% compared to 2019.
People are looking for escapism, they're looking for entertainment, they're looking for shows that they know are going to be a feel-good experience and a healing proposition.
Add to that competition from streaming platforms, less venturing into downtowns and art districts, and theater managers are not where they hope to be. In Los Angeles, Megan Pressman, who heads Center Theater Group, is grappling with this reality.
Their hits are still doing okay. They might still get a little bit dampened after COVID, but the other shows, kind of average shows, the averages are lower and the lows are even lower. It's really similar to what's happening in movie theaters and cinemas.
Smaller audiences can mean fewer donations for regional theaters, which are often nonprofits. At the same time, expenses are up, higher labor costs for technicians, and for materials to make sets and costumes. Meanwhile, the pandemic aid, which many theaters relied on to make up for deficits over the last couple of years, is ending. Aid like the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant.
So we have to significantly cut back to basically work within our own means. So that's where we find ourselves now. So as a result, we've been shrinking programming and reducing our staff.
Pressman also made a decision that's shocked the theater world, canceling all performances indefinitely at Center Theater Group's prestigious Mark Taper Forum in downtown Los Angeles. It's one of 3 venues the company operates, and the one most associated with groundbreaking works, such as Angels in America, which premiered there.
It's a very complicated time for our theaters.
Teresa Eyring heads the Theater Communications Group, an industry research and advocacy firm. She says there's more pain ahead.
These organizations in general closed earlier than a lot of other businesses and had to open later for various reasons. It's been a bit more difficult for our sector to rebalance.
In the immediate term, unless audiences return in big numbers, Eyring expects to see more regional theaters downsizing or closing altogether. I'm Novosafo for Marketplace.
Markets, Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ futures are each up in the 0.2% range. The 10-year interest rate is back below 4% now. And here's a number, 100 million, the number of sign-ups in its first week for Threads, the so-called Twitter killer from Facebook's Meta. It's more week one sign-ups than for the AI system ChatGPT last fall. Now, this will cause gnashing of teeth over at Elon Musk's Twitter, but whether users are into Threads for the long haul and whether big advertisers will come remains to be seen. Now, banks can lend out money, or they can hold on to it just in case. One of America's top banking regulators is banking on the just in case. Here's Federal Reserve Vice Chair for Supervision, Michael Barr, in a speech this week about keeping banks from failing.
Whatever the vulnerability or the shock, capital is able to help absorb the resulting loss, and if sufficient, allow the bank to keep serving its critical role in the economy.
This is the year several mid-sized banks went bust. Marketplace's Stephanie Hughes reports on possible new capital requirements.
Capital is money banks can easily get a hold of. Some of it's cash, some of it's loans they can call in. And the Brookings Institution's David Wessel says it's always a balancing act for regulators to figure out how much capital is enough.
And Michael Barr is saying, I don't think there's enough now. And the banks are going to say, we have enough. You're punishing us.
Even so, Wessel says, the country's largest banks will prepare to have more capital handy. That means they might lend less or be less likely to do share buybacks. Banking industry consultant Merrill J. Reynolds says he's not so worried about a lending slowdown.
In most cases, there's quite a bit of liquidity out there, and banks have resources to still make loans.
In the meantime, any proposed rules on capital would have to be approved by the Fed, the FDIC, and the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, which would likely take several years. I'm Stephanie Hughes for Marketplace.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Palo Alto Networks. Palo Alto Networks delivers comprehensive cybersecurity protection while automating cyber defense to stop threats so organizations can thrive. Learn more at paloaltonetworks.com. And by C3 AI. C3 Generative AI provides ChatGPT enterprise search that is verifiable, secure, and accurate across all enterprise data. C3.ai. This is Enterprise AI.
The huge China-focused tech company Foxconn is pulled out of a $20 billion deal to build a microchip manufacturing plant in India. It was supposed to be a partnership with Indian mining giant Vedanta in Gujarat, which is the home state of India's Prime Minister Modi. Foxconn is the big Apple supplier and is also being sued in Ohio for pulling back from an electric vehicle factory in Lordstown. Here's the BBC's Monica Miller.
The setback is really quite significant because Prime Minister Narendra Modi had said that chip making was a top priority of India's economic strategy in pursuit of a new era of electronic manufacturing. And it doesn't get much bigger than Foxconn, which makes roughly 70% of Apple's iPhones. India estimates its semiconductor market could be worth $63 billion by 2026. Foxconn is looking for ways to push its supply chain outside of China, and India is a very desirable place that they saw to do this. And they still say they do. They still want to support India's efforts. It's just unclear why these two have decided to split at this time.
BBC's Monica Miller. Our producers are James Graham, Joe Critcher, Ariana Rosas, Alex Schroeder, and Erica Soderstrom. Senior producer Meredith Garrettson-Morby. It's the Marketplace Morning Report from APM, American Public Media.